everyone, welcome to the 8th race weekend of the DTM season 2018. We are absolutely excited to be here at the Nürburgring, especially because the sun is shining. As we know, the weather here is always very unpredictable, so let's see what the weather brings. It's for sure it's going to be very exciting, and now we're going to start with the qualifying, so let's get going.
And here we go then. Welcome to the Nürburgring, where the sun is shining, which is not always a given, it has to be said here. In fact, yesterday was particularly damp. There is the Timo Glock car about to go out for qualifying. Of course, this short, sharp qualifying session, just 20 minutes on track. And there is the Edo Mortara car number 48. And there we can see the car of René Rast in free practice. René Rast at one point was quickest, but soon got vaulted in free practice 1, but put it all together in free practice 2. We'll bring you the results of free practice 2 in just a few moments. On board with the René Rast car, inside the car, as you can see, the big yellow lever, incidentally, that you can see to the driver's right-hand side adjusts the brake bias. As the weight changes, as the fuel load goes down during the course of the race, they have to make adjustments to the brake bias, and that is the amount of percentage going to the front brakes and the rear brakes. There's the Lucas Auer car number 22. He's currently P5 in the Drivers' Championship, is Lucas Auer, on 110 points. His first pole position at the DTM came here at Nürburgring back in 2015, as you can see. And he'll be hoping for good things, the young Austrian driver here at the Nürburgring this weekend. We'll see what he can deliver. The focus, of course, on the dashboard of the car and the data that he will look at, and on the team radio as well. So, the Lucas Auer car, the car we look at. Now, the Drivers' Championship is led currently by Paul Di Resta, who, following a torrid weekend for Gary Pavitt in Misano, overtook Gary Pavitt in terms of the Drivers' Championship. So it's 186 points currently to Paul Di Resta, 177 to Gary Pavitt, with Edo Mortara P3 in the points. Mike Rockenfeller champing at the bit, as you can see, in the number 99 Audi to get out there on track, ready for this qualifying session. Joel Eriksson, you could just see the back end of his BMW ahead of Bruno Spengler and Marco Wittmann. Joel Eriksson, of course, taking his first win in the DTM at the Misano circuit. Paul Di Resta then leads the Drivers' Championship. He too, of course, was a race winner at Misano. And here in free practice 2, I alluded to the fact that René Rast did a good job in FP2, a 1:22.086. Was a couple of tenths quicker than Paul Di Resta, who was second fastest. Then it was Lucas Auer, who was third fastest. So that's what it looks like from FP2. And of course, you can't read too much into FP2. What is critical and important is the qualifying session. That sets the grid for race number 1 to come a little later today in the sunshine here at the Nürburgring, as maybe a future DTM star looks on. Great number of spectators here to enjoy the race action. DTM always attracts a very, very good crowd here at the Nürburgring. The track really lending itself to some fantastic vantage points for spectators to enjoy the race action. So we're on board with the Paul Di Resta car then, second place in both of the races here at the Nürburgring last year. Will he be able to take P1s? He's found a rich vein of form, it has to be said, and as I mentioned just a few moments ago, finds himself leading the Drivers' Championship currently. So the Mike Rockenfeller car there. This 3.629 kilometer circuit here at the Nürburgring, which features 7 right-handers, 4 left-handers. We look at the number 23 car of Danny Juncadea, also a race winner in DTM for the first time, taking a win in that number 23 car, of course, when the DTM was back in the UK at Brands Hatch. A couple of events ago, because since then, of course, we had the first ever night races at Misano, which was the last time out for the DTM cars. But reaching the sharp end of the championship now, because we're here at the Nürburgring with 2 races, then 2 races to come at the Red Bull Ring in Austria, and then, of course, the season finale at Hockenheim. So, where's the season gone? One thing is for sure, the season has been fraught with entertainment and race action. It's really, really been a very, very strong DTM season. Mike Rockenfeller ready to lead them away. Robin Freins parked up immediately behind him. We are but 10 seconds away from the light going green as Paul Di Resta joins the queue of cars that will get out onto the tarmac in 2 seconds from now. Well, less than that, as Mike Rockenfeller gives it a footful and slides the back end of the car. The 28-minute qualifying session is underway. The clock ticks down, as you can see at the top of the left-hand side of your screen. There is Gary Paffett, P2 in the Drivers' Championship. Pascal Wehrlein in the number 94 car there, who thus far has been winless. He's taken one podium this season, that podium coming at the Lausitzring earlier on in the season. So what can Pascal Wehrlein do here at the Nürburgring? The fantastic garage view that the spectators are afforded. Open up team garages to allow the spectators to get up close and personal to the race action. Rennie Rast and Jamie Green, the two Audi cars that have yet to join the queue, making the way through turn number 1 now. There's Marco Wittmann, two-time DTM champion. Behind him is the Edo Mortara car, currently third in the Drivers' Championship, Edo Mortara, and then it is Lucas Auer. Marco Wittmann, incidentally, is P4 in the Drivers' Championship on 112 points. 186 is the points tally for Paul di Resta. And please remember, there are points up for grabs in qualifying. You get 3 points for being P1, 2 points for being P2, and 1 point for being P3 in qualifying. So qualifying not only matters in terms of the grid positions, also matters in terms of your points haul as well, because those very few points can become very important come the end of the season. Robin Freins then, we watch his car, the Robin Freins car then. Of course, he took his first podium in the DTM in race 1 at Misano, taking a P2, and we're on board with him now as he weaves from side to side to generate some temperature into those tyres. We'll run graphics on the left-hand side of the screen to indicate who's doing what and where in terms of lap time, and expect it all to change very dramatically during the course of qualifying. Drivers tend to go out for 2 runs. They'll bank an early lap in this part of qualifying, then come in and then go back out towards the end of the session to try and better whatever their first session was. So on board with Rennie Rast now as he heads down towards turn number 8, which is taken absolutely flat. The car of Loic Duval is out of the pit lane now. So Rennie Rast then continuing to weave from side to side to generate that temperature into the Hankook tyres, into the NGK chicane now. Now it's through the NGK chicane that in the race you'll find that a perfect exit from the NGK chicane can help you set up an overtake going into turn number 1. Forget the fact you're going around the Coca-Cola turn now. It actually really can help you in terms of setting up a move going into turn number 1. This, of course, though, is qualifying that we're watching at the moment, which will set the grid for race number 1 to come a little bit later on today. Splitter cam, which affords us a fantastic sight, if you like, of the tarmac and exactly what the drivers are going through. First time on the screen then comes from Mike Rockenfeller, a 1:28.798. It's immediately bettered by Nico Muller, a fellow Audi driver, of course, with a 1:27.891. 1:27.891 from Nico Muller then. Those are the first of the times to show. In fact, we've only got 5 times, 6 times now on the board. They come from Muller, Rockenfeller, Robin Freins, Paul di Resta, Timo Glock, and Danny Juncker-Deyer. Joel Eriksson joins that bunch as well. But at the moment, a 1:27.891 is the benchmark time, but that is set by Nico Muller, and of course that's very early on in the session. Expect that to come tumbling down during the course of the remaining 16 minutes. On board with Gary Paffett now, P2 in the Drivers' Championship. So 14 races, 3 victories, 7 podiums, 4 pole positions this season for Gary Paffett, former DTM champion, of course. Breaks into turn number 1 now. Currently 9th fastest, but hasn't really set a meaningful time yet. This will be the first proper timed lap from Gary Paffett. It's Jamie Green who is quickest now with a 1:27.391. As you can see, he's vaulted Nico Muller and Rennie Rast and Mike Rockenfeller, who, with Robin Freins, complete a 5-way sweep at the top in terms of Audi their times. But a 1:26.131 is now set by Robin Freins. It was briefly Mike Rockenfeller quickest, but now it's Robin Freins and Nico Muller who go quickest. We're following Gary Paffett then. Now, the green indications and the purple indications on the bars across 3 sections of the graphics left-hand side of your screen, and indeed on the bottom of the screen, indicates how they're performing in each sector of this circuit. Sector 1, Sector 2, and Sector 3, and it's Joel Eriksson, rookie driver but race winner in the DTM, who now is quickest with a 1:25.518, 1:25.518 for Joel Eriksson then. Mike Rockenfeller and René Rast are both setting purple sectors, as you can see, as all the cars slow up then on the NGK chicane, which is really going to compromise those that are on a quick lap here. So there is René Rast, who's currently 9th, and this is a real problem for Mike Rockenfeller, as you can see. The really slow Jamie Green and also the slow Lucas Au. That really is going to have compromised Mike Rockenfeller's lap. He was he'd done a green, a personal best in Sector 1, and then faster than anyone through Sector 2. Well, he still goes quickest, but can't help but feel that he would have had even more pace. Robin Freins now goes quickest with a 1:23.025. We're on board with René Rast. So René Rast then starts another timed lap now in car number 33. He is currently 9th fastest. So as he crosses the Sector 1 timing line, we'll see whether this time is going to be a good one for René Rast. He crosses the timing line now. It's a personal best. And through 143 kilometers per hour. Philip Eng is another one that's on a real charge here in car number 25. He was 11th fastest. Let's watch him now around the Coca-Cola turn. And this is going to be a quick time from Philip Eng as he heads towards the timing beam. He breaks it now. And he goes fastest with a 1:22.390. A 1:22.390 for Philip Eng then. René Rast then, PB, Sector 1 and Sector 2. He rounds the Coca-Cola turn and heads to break the timing beam now. René Rast was 15th fastest, all of a sudden vaults himself 10 places and becomes 5th fastest. But it's Philip Eng and Bruno Spengler with a real BMW showdown at the top at the moment. We're on board with Marco Wittmann. Timo Glock has gone PBs in Sector 1 and Sector 2. So too has Paul de Resta, current leader of the Drivers' Championship. So here comes Paul de Resta across the timing line. He's currently 4th fastest. Timo Glock in the all-yellow BMW is right behind. Timo Glock moves himself up to P6 now, but bear in mind this the early stages of this qualifying session. Bruno Spengler is 2nd fastest. Pascal Wehrlein 3rd fastest. Then it's Paul de Resta 4th fastest. And Joel Eriksson, who of course race winner in Misano, is currently P8, making his way through the Coca-Cola, through turn number 1 now. Right at the start of the lap. The Coca-Cola turn comes right at the end of the lap. Wittmann through the speed trap at 245 kilometers per hour then. Has done personal bests in Sector 1 and Sector 2. So too has René Rast. This, the splitter cam then, as the René Rast car crosses the timing line, and he is 4th fastest. There is Lucas Au, the young Austrian. Now he's done a better than anyone time through Sector 2. So Lucas Au, who's currently languishing down there in P16, well, he improves 2 places and moves up to P14. Jamie Green now P11, of course, right at the start of the session. Jamie Green was the quickest of anyone. We have all drivers, bar 6 of them, in the 1:22s. Before we see Robin Freins, Mike Rockenfeller, Augusto Farfus, Lucas Au, Loic Duval, Edo Mortara and Nico Muller. 7 in the 1:23s. So Lucas Au in the number 22 car that we are watching currently. He opened his account at the start of the season with a P2 at Hockenheim. He's had a couple of P2s and a couple of P3s, but has been winless this year. And here's Edo Mortara, who's just quietly been going about his job. Of course, Edo Mortara has been a 2-time race winner this season, taking a win at the Norris Ring and also the Lausitz Ring. Quietly going about banking points as well, taking a P3 and a P2 at Misano under the floodlights. Here comes René Rast then to cross the timing line. I don't think this is going to be an improvement. Well, actually, it is, and it's an improvement of 1 place. All goes relatively quiet out there on track now as we have merely 4 or 5 cars out there as the drivers all come in, including Paul di Resta, as you can see, back into the garage then as the tyres are changed and the brakes cleaned out, and there is the Timo Glock car. So as I mentioned right at the start of the session, we will have everyone out for early banker laps, if you like, and in fairness, we now only have 1 car out on track. René Rast has the circuit, the current DTM champion, making his way in towards turn number 6 now. He has the circuit completely to himself. Pascal Wehrlein's car is put back into the garage. Here is Bruno Spengler in the number 7 car. He was quick in free practices. In fact, he led free practice 1, if memory serves me. There is Philipp Eng in the number 25 car. And this is Pascal Wehrlein that we're watching now in the number 94 Mercedes-Benz, kicking up some gravel. So the order on the left-hand side of your screen at this part of qualifying, we've still got just under 9 minutes left to run. Philipp Eng, Pascal Wehrlein, Marco Wittmann, René Rast, Bruno Spengler, Gary Paffett, and Paul di Resta. So a good mix of all the manufacturers, because we have BMW, Mercedes, and Audi all in the top 4. René Rast being the quickest of the Audi drivers. Philipp Eng, of course, being quickest of the BMW drivers. And Pascal Wehrlein is quickest of the Mercedes-Benz drivers currently. But do expect that potentially to change over the course of the remaining minutes in qualifying. So 2-time DTM champion Marco Wittmann, currently 3rd fastest, 2nd best of the BMWs so far in this part of the qualifying session, which sets the grid for race number 1 to come a little bit later this afternoon. Say this afternoon, it's local time, just on 11:30 here as Augusto Farfus makes his way out of the pit lane to continue his qualifying. Augusto Farfus has been on the podium this year in race 1 at Brands Hatch. He took a very good P2 place. It was his best result of the season so far. Timo Glock, of course, we saw the car in the garage there. Is at the start of the season, you would have said was potentially a shoe-in for the championship, but has found himself down there in P6 in the Drivers' Championship now. Here comes Gary Paffett then, who had a torrid time of it at Misano with a non-finish in race 1 and a P14 in race 2, which means that his challenge for the Drivers' Championship has been overtaken by Paul di Resta. It's Gary Paffett on 177 points and Paul di Resta on 186. Good showing by Mercedes-Benz, that's for sure, occupying the top 3 places in the Drivers' Championship currently. Timo Glock then, 88 DTM races, 5 victories, 13 podiums, 5 pole positions for the man who styles himself as the old mans of DTM. Which is certainly not true when you look at his age, as you can see there on the graphics. Great character is Timo Glock, and a really, really good racer. Back end of the car just steps out then as he piles the pressure onto the accelerator pedal. Here comes Lucas Au then out of the pit lane, and we have 6.5 minutes of this qualifying session. And all of a sudden, from near silence on the 3.629 kilometers of tarmac, it becomes very busy once again. Robin Freins, René Rast on their way out of the pit lane as well. So that all cars out on track now. The splitter cam on the René Rast car going into turn number 1, right behind Robin Freins. So René Rast gingerly on the accelerator pedal, then gives it everything going into turn number 2. Oh, and a lot of gravel there. So you can see that has been brought out onto the track. And that's at turn number 7. So someone has run wide there through turn number 7 and carried all that gravel out onto the tarmac. So here is René Rast then. Hear the back end of the car and see the back end of the car step out as René Rast again piles his foot through the loud pedal and gives it everything he can. Now this is where the gravel is. just thankfully off the initial part through turn 8. Absolutely flat, heading up towards the NGK chicane now. Just a shade under 240 kilometers per hour before heavy braking. Take as much curb as you dare through the in and through the out. And then again, absolutely flat towards the Coca-Cola turn. Lift now. Just kiss the apex and then flat out once again. Weaving from side to side, and we'll run the clock on René Rast on this occasion as he breaks the timing beam now. Fastest driver so far, Philipp Eng, then it's Pascal Wehrlein, Marco Wittmann, and this man, René Rast, is currently 4th fastest. So where can we go from here? So on board then with the Audi garage there. And René Rast then, of course, driving for the Audi Sport Team Rosberg affair, headed of course by Arno Zensen, who we saw just a few moments ago on the pit wall. Philipp Eng's 122.390. Pascal Wehrlein weaves across the timing line. Here comes Timo Glock, who's doing what in the sectors? Well, at the moment you can see all the sector times are white, which means no one is really improving. And what have we got? Just under 4 minutes of this qualifying session left, so we need the graphics on the left-hand side of your screen to colour up with greens and purples to alter the positions that we have currently. Now, it's not unheard of for the best qualifying times to be set in the first part of qualifying. In fact, Gary Paffett has done 2 of his quickest laps in the first parts of qualifying. Mike Rockenfeller there just does add some colour into the sector times by going PB through the 3rd sector of the track, but he remains at P12, so we're into the final 3 minutes of qualifying. Just wonder whether that gravel out there on the track is really impacting and affecting, but of course the drivers have come out and they've got to get those tyres back up to temperature again, or new tyres up to temperature as to give them and allow them to put in the very best lap times possible. We've got all drivers bar 6 in the 122s. Those in the 23s are Robin Freins, Augusto Farfus, Lucas Auer, Loic Duval, Edo Mortara, and Nico Muller. Everyone else is in the 22s. Mike Rockenfeller now has done a PB through sector 1. We're watching Pascal Wehrlein, who is currently 2nd fastest, of course. And this, a timed lap from Pascal Wehrlein. What can he deliver? As I mentioned, Mike Rockenfeller has delivered a PB in Sector 1. Sector 2 was not outstanding for Mike Rockenfeller. It's 2/10 down, but this could be a very sizable improvement for Mike Rockenfeller, as now Gary Paffett confounds by delivering better than anyone through Sector 1. So Gary Paffett on board we are with now, as he heads towards, he adjusts the brake bias just a little bit, goes through that turn number 8, which is taken absolutely flat, and crosses the timing line, and is still 8/100ths down, and 8/100ths quicker than anybody else in that cumulative time as he crossed Sector 2, although Sector 2 was not brilliant. He will head to break the timing beam now. What is this going to be from Gary Paffett? It was P6 and it goes P1 for the Mercedes-Benz driver, a 122.296. Marco Wittmann now goes 2nd fastest. 5/100ths down on Gary Paffett. So it's Paffett, Wittmann, then it's Philipp Eng, and then it is Pascal Wehrlein. Bruno Spengler, as you can see, has done a PB through Sector 1. So too has Philipp Eng, the man that sat atop the qualifying times just a few moments ago. We're into the final 50 seconds of this qualifying session. Paffett with a 122.296. Augusto Farfus has gone PB in Sector 1 and Sector 2. Bruno Spengler now goes to the top. He looked impressive in free practice, and with a 122.281 is now quicker than Gary Paffett, who's relegated to P2 and is on another hot lap now. But Sector 1 for Gary Paffett is not looking impressive. Here's René Rast then as he crosses the timing line. It's P5 for René Rast, so it's Spengler, Paffett, Then it's Wittmann, Auer, and René Rast. Loic Duval crosses the timing line. We're on board with Marco Wittmann now, and the checkered flag comes out. So anyone that's on a hot lap now will get the lap in, as Paffett with a 1:22.231 is at the top as the checkered flag comes out. Wittmann is at P3. Bruno Spengler is at P2. Who's on an improvement here? Edo Mortara's just done a PB in Sector 1. The driver is on a lap. When the checkered flag has come out, that lap can be completed. Daniel Juncadea, and look at René Rast, better than anyone through Sector 1. Rast is currently 5th fastest. Let's go on board with him now through turn number 7. Sorry, turn 8, heading towards turn 9, the end to the NGK chicane. He is 5/100ths quicker. Jamie Green is ahead of him. So René Rast then rounds the Coca-Cola turn. He is currently 5th fastest. Is he going to knock the Mercedes driver Gary Paffett off the pole position? Yes, he does. Rast goes quickest. Right at the end of this qualifying session, a 1:22.203 from René Rast, the Audi driver. It's a pole position for René Rast, P2 for Gary Paffett, P3 for Bruno Spengler, P4 for Lucas Auer. René Rast celebrates inside the Audi then. He has delivered a time that will give him a P1, and of course a valuable 3 points for René Rast. Paffett, of course, banks 2 points for that P2 place, and Bruno Spengler 1 point for P3. Now, in all of this, where is Paul di Resta? P8, so a 4th row start for Paul di Resta. Gary Paffett knows that to be ahead of his Mercedes brandmate Paul di Resta is critical in terms of that Drivers' Championship. As going into that qualifying session, it was 1:86, playing 1:77. So on board with René Rast right in the closing stages of that qualifying session, who delivered the fastest lap, a 1:22.203. P3, Bruno Spengler, as you can see, with a 1:22.281. I think I'm right in saying that's the best qualifying this season from Bruno Spengler. Gets it all together at the Nürburgring, track which is very much one in his favour. There is Arno Zenzen then. Job is done. Locks everything up, leaves the pit wall to go and congratulate this man, his driver, René Rast, in car number 33 for delivering that P1. There is Gary Paffett posing in front of the car for P2. He just lost that P1 place right at the very end of the qualifying session as all the cars make their way into the pit lane. And of course, the top 3 into Parc Fermé. We're on board with René Rast as he splits the car between that of Gary Paffett and Bruno Spengler. And we'll climb out of the car then. A very, very good job from René Rast. Quite unassuming celebrations there from René Rast for Audi, Gary Paffett for Mercedes-Benz, and Bruno Spengler for BMW. All 3 manufacturers then setting the top 3 places in that qualifying session. And of course will be P1, P2 and P3 on the grid. Audi P1, Mercedes P2, BMW P3. So good conversations and good laughter going on between Bruno Spengler, Gary Paffett and René Rast then at the end of that short, sharp qualifying session, which always drives plenty of drama and plenty of excitement. René Rast removes the hands device and the crash helmet, and then in conversation there with Gary Paffett. Just listen in. Sadly, not quite loud enough for us to be able to hear anything. Always good to listen into the conversations when we can to hear what's being said. You can see what the crash helmet does to the hairstyle, René. And there is Mike Rockefeller, seemingly a little bit disappointed with his P11 qualifying. And Daniel Juncadea, a race winner in DTM, of course. He goes from P7 on the grid. There is Paul di Resta, currently leading the Drivers' Championship. It's a P8 start as the top 3 then have their photographs taken. René Rast in the middle, then it's Gary Paffett to the right-hand side, and Bruno Spengler to the left-hand side of your picture. the 1, 2, 3 in qualifying and setting the grid for race number 1. Track sweeper out already. And here, confirmation of the qualifying positions. René Rast, P1, Gary Paffett, P2, then Bruno Spengler. Followed by Lucas Auer, Marco Wittmann and Philipp Eng. Daniel Juncker-Dea, Paul Di Resta, Pascal Wehrlein and Augusto Farfus rounds out the first 5 rows of the grid for the race to come this afternoon. Then it was Mike Rockenfeller, Timo Glock, Joel Eriksson, Jamie Green, Edo Mortara, Nico Muller, Robin Freins and Loic Duval. So the scene is set for the first race. To come up a little later today. Looking forward to that race this afternoon. And there is Timo Glock and Marco Wittmann walking down the pit lane now. Best Timo Glock could deliver was a 1:22.604. For Marco Wittmann, it was a 1:22.350. Here comes the grid for race 1. René Rast and Gary Paffett will be on the front row of the grid, followed by Bruno Spengler and Lucas Auer going from the second row. P5 and P6 go the way of Marco Wittmann and Philipp Eng, 2 BMWs welded together on the third row of the grid. And then it's a Mercedes row for Daniel Juncker-Dea and Paul Di Resta. Paul Di Resta, the current points leader. Pascal Wehrlein and Augusto Farfus are on the fifth row, P9 and P10. Then it's Mike Rockenfeller and Timo Glock, P11 and P12. Then it's Joel Eriksson and Jamie Green on the 7th row of the grid. And then it's Edo Mortara and Nico Muller, P15 and P16. Then bringing up the rear, Robin Freins and Loic Duval. The man that gave us pole position, a 1:22.203, René Rast. Let's hear from him now.
Here we are with a very surprised René Rast, as I just found out, because you were just saying you were thinking maybe top 5. So when you heard your pole position, you were very surprised and very excited.
Yeah, I mean the car was much different to the practice in the morning. So I was struggling with the first set a little bit. We made some adjustments in the brake. And suddenly the car was back alive again, and yeah, I was very surprised. I was saying not in the top 10 before, and then the last lap just was enough for pole, which was great. Obviously, first pole this year. Looks like we are back in the game, which is good. Pace was good yesterday and today, so hopefully a podium today.
All right, crossing our fingers, it's going to be exciting. Thank you very much, René, and back to you.
Yeah, he's clearly understating everything, isn't he? He's saying, hopefully a podium. Of course, he'll be going for the win. There's no question about that. Super slow-mos to the top 3. Here comes Bruno Spengler, P3. Then the Mercedes-Benz driver, Gary Paffett, going from P2 on the grid. P1, of course, the man we've just heard from. Current DTM champion René Rast. He will be leading the grid from pole position for this afternoon's race. 1:22.203 from René Rast during qualifying. And he celebrates inside the car then, René Rast going from pole position this afternoon. The backdrop of the castle then that overlooks the fantastic Nürburgring track. Let's go back down into the pit lane where Verena is.
So that was a very surprising qualifying with a surprising result. Let's see what the race brings. You certainly do not want to miss it here at the Nürburgring. The sun is still shining and we're looking very much forward to it. And here are the highlights of the qualifying. Enjoy and see you later for the race.